Some people would think that I'm sponsored by Under Armour, but I'm not. Someday, maybe, hopefully, but not right now. In this video, I'm gonna show you how you can save yourself a ton of time importing photos into Lightroom with a preset that will apply settings that are normal settings you always apply to every single photograph, and I'm gonna start it right now. Hey everybody, my name is Sean Seymour and I own a photography studio in Sacramento, California, and today I'm going to show you how you can import photos by the thousands into Lightroom with settings already applied to those images before you've even touched your first image in Lightroom. Why do you do this? Because if you don't do this, you'll find that if you shoot a flat profile like I do with my camera, I don't have my camera apply anything like portraits, settings, or landscape, or any of this other stuff because the situations that I shoot in are so varied between the studio here, between outdoors, between indoors with different lighting, between flash, between strobes, you name it. I'm doing something different every single day. So I don't want my camera applying some sort of a preset to all of my images. I want to do that in post-production. And the way that I do that is by using a development preset in Lightroom. And I'm going to show you how I do that right now. By the way, if you like the content of this video, please hit the like button down below. It takes an extra little cycle and I know you got to go down there and do it, but do it because it shows YouTube that people should be viewing this video and that they should be showing this video to other people. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. That'll help you keep up to speed with what's going on in my channel, and the bell notification will let you know when I have new content that's coming out. Okay, there's a couple of things to assume with this, and one is that you have Lightroom and maybe you have the Adobe photography product, which I believe is a subscription of $10 a month. If you don't, you really should because it's very inexpensive. Comes with Lightroom and comes with Photoshop, the two things you're gonna need to become a good photographer or a professional photographer. So I'm going to assume that you have that, and that's what you're here doing, is trying to figure out how you can be more efficient with Lightroom rather than doing this the slow way. So to begin with, what I'm going to do is jump into the computer here and show you what the slow way is, or what you might normally have to do if this was something that you were going to do manually. So right now I have a picture of Sarah here that's opened up, and I'm going to jump into the development module by hitting D on the keyboard. And what you'll see is that over here we have no white balance. It's exactly as shot. We don't have any vibrance. We have no saturation. And then we have a 40 for sharpening, which is Lightroom's default. I don't like any of that because what I have to do, because I'm shooting a flat profile or a neutral profile out of my camera, I typically will have to change this to daylight, or I will shoot a color checker when I'm in the studio that will balance this for me. But just for this tutorial, I'm gonna change that to daylight. Then I need to come down here and change my vibrance to 15, and I'll zoom in here for you so you can see what I'm doing. And then I need to go, and I usually put anywhere from 3 to 5 on the saturation. I don't like to overdo saturation. It has a really good potential to blow everything out. So as a uniformed development preset that you want to have on every single image, 3 is a good starting place. Okay, now if I come down to sharpening, I will always go at least 45, if not 50. So let's do 50 for this example. Okay, and if I do that, you'll notice on Sarah that those things have already been applied to her and they're working. To get that on all of the photographs in this shoot, if I did not use a preset, I have to go in, and now that I've adjusted this single image, I'm sorry for the scrolling, now that I've adjusted this single image, I would have to highlight that and then synchronize my development, or synchronize my settings, my development settings. Say I'm gonna right click, open up this window, come down to development settings and sync settings. Now, if you don't know this keyboard shortcut, you really wanna get to know this keyboard shortcut because the Command Shift S is very fast and will allow you to go through sections of photographs that have different lighting using Command Shift S to change those or synchronize those. Anyway, this brings up the synchronize settings window. I'm gonna go ahead and leave everything checked. I only want, I don't care, they're all beginning of the import. So synchronize settings, And just to show you that that works, I'm gonna go back to an image that doesn't have any of the synchronization. Notice nothing has changed over here. And I think this was the last image here that we did the synchronization on, so I'll show you what that is. Look at that. We have the daylight setting, we have the vibrance and the saturation, and then we also have the sharpening. Okay, so if I wanted to have that done for everything in the whole shoot, I would highlight the image that has those settings. I would hit Command A to select all, and then I would go to my synchronize settings, my development settings, or develop settings, and then I would sync those settings. For right now, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to show you how you can create a preset so that when you import these, that information or those settings are going to be automatically applied. Okay, so to do that, I've got to go to the development module, make sure that there's an image that has the settings, the basic settings that you want. Come over here to presets, click on this little triangle, and create preset. You notice now that we get a window that says new development preset. I'm going to go ahead and create import basic. Now, if I had different lighting situations, let's say I was a wedding photographer and I shot under tungsten lighting all the time, or I was outdoors and I was shooting outdoors, late sunset, whatever the case may be, if I had something, I could go ahead and say this is import basic for indoor indoor lighting. Okay, but for me, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this is my import basic, which is a good starting point for me. Go ahead and click create, and now you'll notice over here in the import basics, or I'm sorry, in the user presets, we have this import basic, which is the preset that I just created. Okay, let's go ahead and import some images and I'll show you how that's going to work. So we go back up to library. I've already taken the card out of my camera, put it into my computer here, so we are going to import just a couple of pictures from my last shoot so you can see exactly what it's going to look like. Just wait a quick minute here while that card is read by Lightroom. By the way, if you haven't seen my other video about how to name your files and how to back them up, what naming schemes I use and how I do all of this in Lightroom, you might want to take a look at it. I'll put the link to it right here or over here or somewhere. Let's take a look here. If you haven't seen that video, you're going to want to see that video. I'm going to go ahead and unselect all of these photographs because I don't want to import or spend a bunch of time importing a bunch of photographs. I really want to show you what I'm talking about here. Yeah, here we go. We got everybody standing outside, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select, I don't know, let's say 3 of those. I'm going to select 3 of them for import. Now, typically I do a copy as DNG until someone tells me differently. I'm going to name the folder that I'm going to take these images over to. We're going to make a new folder, 2020-06-06, which is when I shot these. Cheer Seniors. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight that, copy it before I create this folder. And by the way, I cover all of this in my tutorial on how to do this in Lightroom. The next thing I'm going to do is come down here and say I want to use a custom name and sequence. We're going with standard previews. For some reason, everything in Lightroom got reset here. Leave as is. Okay, that copy that I just did of the name, I'm going to go ahead and paste in here so it renames those files. And now we're at the important part where I get to select my development settings. Well, guess what? If I go down to user preset, there's my import basic. I don't need any of the metadata right now. I don't need any keywords. Okay, and after all of that, I'm gonna go ahead and hit import. And what we should see is these 3 photographs, or these 3 images coming in to a Lightroom library. They're gonna come into a Lightroom library, and after we're done converting to a DNG and we're done creating the preview, there we go. Now, if I click on one of these, you'll see that when I go to my development module, I'm going to come over here, and you'll see that on this, I already have daylight selected. I have a vibrance of 15 added to this image. I have a saturation of 3, and scrolling down, I have sharpness of 50. Okay, so I can create a development preset which I can apply to all of the images that are being imported into Lightroom, and I can save myself a ton of time. I know that if I want every image to start with these basic settings, I can use that development preset to do that. Hey, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please pound on that like button down below, hit the subscribe button, and until we see each other on the next video, please keep it simple, my friend. Stay safe.